AAA gaming companies have responded to stop killing games. And it's about as desperate and weak as we would all presume. So let's check it out from YongYea.
So until there are new developments on the Stop Killing Games movement, this will be my last word on it for some time.
Unless some crazy drama happens. Everybody always says that, and then something crazy happens.
For those who don't know, I talked about Stop Killing Games in this video titled Stop Killing Games Reaches Its Goal as Internet Protest Its Biggest Critic for Misinformation. It's a long video, but it breaks down pretty much.
Dude, even YongYea is saying this dude's full of shit. I don't know anybody who is actually defending this guy.
Everything you need to know about the whole situation, what's transpired throughout the...
Like, all of the smartest people, I think, on the internet are against pirate software. Jason Hall.
Course of its events. But I specifically want to talk about the response from the games industry, specifically the Video Games Europe organization that represents some of the top publishers. And before I give my take on this, I want to give two opinions. Number one, doing the right thing is not always convenient. It's not always the most cost-effective measure. It is at times a pain in the butt to do the right thing. But you do the right thing anyway because it's the right thing to do, because it is the morally upstanding thing to do.
True.
And then number two, when money is involved in any kind of transaction, then the folks paying that money and their protection needs to be a priority, because they're giving a piece of their livelihood to you and trusting you that you'll deliver a product that you feel like you on some level have some semblance of autonomy over, and you are able to retain it and keep it for as long as you yourself maintain it. So
I think that we need to go back to physical copies of games. I think we need to put them on cartridges, not even discs. I think they need to go on cartridges, full games. And if your game is broken, it's broken. That's it. You fucked up. You should have fixed your game.
Why do I bring up these 2 points? Because essentially, the games industry's argument as for why Stop Killing Games is unreasonable is because it's inconvenient and because they essentially want to prioritize developers' financial prospects. I've covered this statement from...
Yeah, they want to prioritize developers' financial prospects. When you do that, that's when you get the loot boxes. That's when you get the microtransactions. That's when you get the skin packs. Like, come on. Give me a fucking break.
Video Games Europe in my last video, but I want to kind of do a deeper dive, and I want to express more of my opinions on this because it really highlights just how for granted customers are taken, how they're treated as a means to an end rather than as people, as humans who are entrusting you with a piece of their livelihood.
I think a lot of people, they can't not buy the games. They got FOMO. They gotta play them. Everybody else is playing them. I gotta buy it full price. Oh, I gotta get all of the extra content. I can't miss anything. It's gonna be $120, but man, I gotta get all this. My friends are getting it. I have to have all of it too. And it's so fucking tired. I fucking hate it. Like, man, quit being retarded. Grow the fuck up.
Companies always talk about their appreciations for the customers and the fans and whatnot, but that just never really seems to be the priority when shit hits the fan. When suddenly the prospect of a legislation that guarantees customers get protection, when that becomes a possibility and that becomes too inconvenient for companies, all of a sudden...
I hope that people get more and more on board with this, but I keep getting people fighting back against me. They're like, man, I can see where this road ends, and nobody's gonna like it. And all these people, they're gonna be saying, oh, what went wrong? When did it all go wrong? It all went wrong when we had a movement going, and you weren't getting on board, and you were lying about it. And you kept buying into the shitty practices. You kept buying every video game that releases. You kept buying all the microtransactions. And you know what? I don't buy video games really anymore, so if that's the way you want to go, that's the way it'll go. I'm just not going to buy video games.
It's time for them to try to reason with everyone and try to talk about how, oh, think about the poor companies and the developers asking money from the customers. But before we get into all that, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Mecha Break, a mech-focused free-to-play PvP
Another
game.
mech game.
As a big fan of mechs, I remember Mecha Break making a really strong impression on me when it was first announced. And now...
Oh, wait, I remember Mecha Break. Cool looking game. They're updating it all the time. It's just like a normal looking game. I like it. Download it for free. Don't like that. I don't like that it's free and this riddled with microtrans. I'm tired of the free-to-play games. Honestly, like, get that shit out of here. I ain't playing your free-to-play games. It's got microtransactions and skip packs and shit. Just charge me. Charge me and I'll buy it.
Anyways, back to the matter at hand.
But honestly, I probably wouldn't buy it anyway.
And this right here is a statement from Video Game Zero published on July 4th, 2025.
I think people like me are a huge problem for the gaming industry because we just don't buy games even when they're good. We buy a game when they're on sale. We buy good games when they're on sale. We don't even buy like all of the slop games either. Like a lot of people do. They buy every single game that comes out. Or they play games on Game Pass and they're like, oh, it was a pretty good game. It was pretty good. I mean, for a free game, you know. I didn't mind Avowed. It was free. I wouldn't pay $80 for it. And you know what? Cool. Fine. Sure. Whatever. That's where we're headed. Why not? All those games that people are playing on Game Pass, I'm not going to be buying anyway. So, sure. Eat up your slop, piggies.
I've read this before, but I want to read this and provide additional context and additional thoughts as to why this statement is just wildly inconsiderate to customers.
Man, I'm just like attacking people right now. I'm attacking people who are against stop killing games. Or people who are for stop killing games, but still do all the things that are against stop killing games. They're like, yeah, I believe in stop killing games. I want to keep my games. Oh, what do you mean the Crew 3's coming out? Oh, shit. Stop killing games, but I'm gonna buy this one full price with all the DLC. And they got microtransactions. Oh, I guess I'm gonna be buying some microtransactions. I gotta look cool amongst my friends.
It reads right here, we appreciate the passion of our community. However, the decision to discontinue online services is multifaceted, never taken lightly, and must be an option for companies when an online experience is no longer commercially viable. This first sentence, nobody's disagreeing with. We understand that sometimes, or oftentimes rather, a live service just it's not financially possible for a company to maintain it when there are not enough players spending money on it.
No. Nah. You can still open it up. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, YongYea. No. Live service games, they can be opened up. It just won't be financially viable for them to do that. Get out of here with that. Nope. Make it possible or don't make the game. You know?
And sunsetting games is something that should be allowed if that live service is bleeding money for them. So nobody's arguing against that. That part's fine. This continues. We understand that it can be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that players are given fair notice of the prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws. But
we just gotta get the laws changed in compliance with the local consumer protection laws. Who makes those laws? Not the consumers. The consumers don't make those laws. That's what the AAA companies think the consumer laws should be. And it really helps them out. Doesn't help us out.
But when they buy the product, they're not told that what you're actually purchasing is, you know, a license, so you don't have really any semblance of ownership.
I don't give a shit.
Digital product. They don't tell you that one day this thing will just disappear from the face of the planet. That
I don't
one
give a
day,
shit.
The product that you purchased.
Yeah, I don't give a shit if it tells you that it will or not. It shouldn't.
Will be null and void. That's the part that you're not told up front when you pay money.
I don't care if I'm told that or not. Don't do it. They just shouldn't be even a question.
For a live service video game. And not even just live services, even single player games that are digital only, that require online downloads and whatnot on day one, like Ubisoft games that require a day one patch that act as a key to be able to access the game for the games to run. And, you know, how in the future, when those servers go down, you won't be able to access that patch. And so if you don't have that game already downloaded, then that game...
That's not even, like, the worst thing that can happen. That's just a common thing. The worst thing that happens is whenever licensing for music runs out and they're like, well, instead of pulling the music out of the game, we're just gonna pull the entire fucking game from every library and every store, and you're not gonna be able to play it or buy it. That's when it gets gross. That's when it gets really gross.
Game will essentially become digital waste. None of that is ever actually explained to customers. All that is kind of hidden away in fine print at best, and at worst, laws have not caught up enough to essentially protect consumers from this and to force companies to be a lot more blatant about that notice, which is why right here they say in compliance with local consumer protection laws, implying that they follow things to the letter of the law, but the law hasn't caught up. So as long as the law doesn't force them to be better, they won't do better. No, they do try to say here that we fairly inform players when their game is about to be sunset, when we're about to strip that game away from them forever, when we're about to nuke the game from existence. But warning somebody that they're about to get scammed or that something nefarious is about to happen doesn't make the situation itself fair. If somebody says, hey, we gave you fair warning that we're going to come into your house and burglar your stuff, does that mean that burgling is fair game because you got advance notice months or a year before it happened? No, burgling is still burgling. But then here's the part where they really try to justify why completely nuking games from existence is okay and necessary. Private servers are not always a viable alternative option for players, as the protections we put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist and would leave rights holders liable. So a couple things here. A, once a product is sunset, you're no longer the overseer of it. What the community does with that, that's on them. You can also just put in your EULA that once a game is sunset, like, you absolve yourself of all responsibility because, yeah, the game is no longer, like, supported.
True.
It's
yes, this is how it should be. This is 100% how it should be. I think he was a little bit mixed up on his words earlier. I think he said it wrong, or maybe I misunderstood him. But this is definitely how it should be. Also, games like Destiny and Destiny 2 should not exist, where it's like rolling content, where they add new things but remove the old things. I think that shit is fucking stupid. I think there should be, like, where you can down-date your game into playing the older stuff if you want to. Like, here's Destiny 1.0. Here's Destiny 1.1 where we added stuff. But if you want to play the original stuff, just revert back to Destiny 1.0. That's not what you get.
Shut down officially, and the whole idea of, like, this leaves right holders liable, legally liable, that is just not true because you didn't officially sanction any potential activities that might be considered illicit or illegal with a game. And in terms of protecting the people from themselves, like, your solution to all of this is, well, to protect you from yourselves, you're going to nuke the game and take the game from you because we don't trust you adults to be able to handle our product in its shutdown state. This is them trying to say we're destroying your games in consideration of you, the customers, to keep you safe.
Yeah, a complete bullshit. It's a lie. It's cope. That's not actually even a real thing. They're just trying to cover their asses.
Nobody asked for your safekeeping.
They know that. They already know that.
And nuking games entirely.
It's corporate speak.
And not preserving them and stripping products that players bought, that being the solution, it's just ridiculous. Companies trying to say, we know what's best for you, so we will control how you use your products, is not the way to go. It is egregious as hell. It's like saying we no longer make and support that one IKEA table that you bought, so we're going to take it away from you because we no longer have purview over that IKEA table, and we don't want people to use that table illicitly. That's not
really a good comparison. I think a better comparison is, imagine you buy a TV and they're like, well, the licensing for the screen to work is expired, so we're just going to turn your TV off, or your TV's going to be blank and the HDMI port's not going to work.
What if somebody takes a leg and sharpens it and makes stabs somebody with it? Well, at that point, it's like IKEA's not liable for that. It's the person who decided to use the tool that way, the product that way. They're liable. They're responsible for that.
Yeah, what if somebody, whenever we turn our services off, what if somebody watches some very naughty material on our TVs? We'd be responsible for that. No, that's not how that works. Damn it, man. Damn it. This is going to be a long, hard battle, and I don't think we're going to come out on top. But hopefully we do. I'm going to keep my head up. I'll keep my head up. Not looking good, though.
modification and that action, not IKEA. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a really silly kind of excuse to try to make this all seem like it's for us and not for the company's benefits. And then here's another part that gets me. In addition, many titles are designed from the ground up to be online only. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create. And this is where my introductory opinions from this video comes in. The two that I said were, number one, doing the right thing is not always convenient. It's sometimes a pain in the butt, but we do it because it.
Dude, why are we having convenience in games? Why? Why are we having convenience for developers? That's not how you make outstanding games. That's how you make garbage slop bullshit. The way you get innovative games, crazy, awesome, amazing, groundbreaking, historical games, is when it's inconvenient to make it. It's got, like, these developers are so fucking lazy, man.
Is the right thing to do because it's the ethical thing to do. And number two, when there's transactions involved, monetary transactions, when people are giving a piece of their livelihood to you, you have a responsibility, no matter how inconvenient, to deliver some semblance of protection and some semblance of reasonable customer service and some semblance of reasonable product like guarantees. And when people aren't warned that when they're paying money, that product one day will disappear forever, not because of any actions they did, not because of their inability to take care of the product, but because the company decided so. And even if a company did issue that warning, the fact that that is a possibility at all, the fact that companies are allowed to do this whole stripping products away from people just because it's digital, like, in what world is that?
Also, like, that's not even, we keep talking about they're stripping products away from us. What about getting scammed on early access? Because that's a pretty big problem too, where you buy a game in early access and you're thinking that it's going to be finished, and then it isn't finished. They'd never finish it, and then they delete it. I think that's going to happen to Pirate Software's Heartbound. I think he's just never going to finish it, and all the people who bought that game are just going to be fucking scammed. And I think that's bullshit. I don't think that should be allowed. Early access was kind of a good idea on paper, but I think it's bullshit. It hardly ever works. If you're going to do an early access, it's got to be free, in my opinion. It's just got to be free. And then when it has a full release, then charge for it. Give the people who've been playing the early build, give them, like, a discount or something. It's like what happened with Minecraft. Minecraft was free until it had a full release. And then they kept adding stuff and kept adding stuff. It was great. Minecraft is a great example of this.
Okay. The only reason it's more okay is because there's no physical actions involved. Like, if I have an IKEA table that IKEA wants to strip away, they'd have to come physically into my house and take that product away from me. Whereas with digital products, you can do that without physically stepping in someone else's home, right? You can just hit a couple buttons.
Oh, Minecraft. Also a good example of a game that was killed. And I will use PBG, Peanut Butter Gamer, as my example. We all bought Minecraft back in the day. And then Microsoft bought it. And when Microsoft bought it, if you didn't switch your Mojang account, or Mojang, whatever you want to call it, to a Microsoft account, then you lost access to Minecraft, even if you bought it. That should not be allowed. That is complete bullshit. That is disgusting.
And suddenly, that product is no longer in players' library. Suddenly, you've stripped that product away from the customer. But the lack of a physical presence doesn't mean it's not as good as somebody coming into your house and stealing it. Just the digital format allows for essentially a ghost to come in and steal that product from you instead of a physical entity who you can stop and prevent from doing that. But the excuse that they're making is, won't you think about the video game companies and the developers and their choices and how prohibitively expensive that would be? First of all, the idea that some kind of end-of-life solution would be prohibitively expensive is complete and utter nonsense and bullshit. We've seen plenty of games issue patches that add offline modes that were live services intended to be online only, but when they were sunset and, they had the stand to be like, well, at the very least, even if this didn't go well, players deserve to keep that game and be able to access it and have it be in a functional, playable state on some level. what they did was issue that offline patch like Redfall and like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because those games, sure, they're much better played online, but they do have campaigns. You can still technically play those games by yourself and have it be a functional game that you can interact with, engage in, and whose content is still readily available to you, even if in a less than ideal state, because it was designed for multiplayer. Now, make no mistake, there are some games currently that were designed to be online only. There's a lot of like server side stuff happening, and so reversing that aspect would be more complicated. But the thing about Stop Killing Games is that it does not retroactively say all of the games that have already been built for online only, where it's a lot of stuff happening server side, where it actually would be just an incredible effort to add some kind of offline mode or end of life kind of plan, where that would be actually really tough to do. Stop Killing Games doesn't target those. It's saying that from here on out, once this becomes law or once this initiative passes through, and
this was something that I've been seeing a lot of people argue against Stop Killing Games for. They're like, well, what about games like Destiny? What about games that you can't do this stuff for, that were not built in a way that you could sunset them? We're not talking about those. We're talking about right now, from here on out, no more. We're done with it. Stop it. We're not going to penalize companies for something that happened years and years ago. Oh, we got you on video smoking weed or doing meth or something from 10 years ago, so we're going to arrest you now. That's not how that works. From here on out, stop doing meth. If you get caught doing meth, we will arrest you. It's the same thing.
Lawmakers look at it, and once laws are established from here on out, make it so that from here on out, games can't just do things that way, where they have to, on some level down the line, be able to provide some kind of end-of-life service and structure the game that way and built that way so that an end-of-life kind of scenario is a possibility, where the game is left in some kind of functional, playable state. Not in the best state possible without online support and without support from developers, just functional, even if...
Yeah, we can take it and run with it,
If it means an MMO that's a wasteland, as long as you can still access that MMO and run around and do things in it, even if, you can't beat the one raid boss by yourself because the game's shut down and you can't engage with other players, as long as you can functionally engage with the game, that's preservation, that's fine. And if you can allow those players to host...
Yeah, have their own servers,
their own servers and bring people together and host their own private parties, take that experience.
But people might do illegal things. What if people get hacked? What if they get preyed upon by a predator? We'll be liable. Even if we're not liable, we just can't morally allow that to happen. What the fuck are you talking about? Get the fuck out of here.
And do what they want with it. If that is on some level implemented, that's all that Stop Killing Games is asking for. Not for live services to remain online in perpetuity and all these things that are claimed by certain folks like Pirate Software. This whole notion that this would be prohibitively...
Everybody talking about Pirate Software.
...expensive to implement, I think that's just bullshit. I mean, all of these innovations that happened in gaming, you're telling me that the line of innovation is drawn at trying to preserve those games, trying to protect consumers from companies being able to just nuke those games from existence?
No, innovation comes when everything is inconvenient. You know what you get when everything is convenient? You get garbage slop, checking boxes, trying to reach the widest, most modern of the audiences.
Since that's where we draw the line of this is just not possible, you guys. I promise you it's possible. I'm not saying that there aren't certain genres of games where that would be a more complex issue, but to say that it's impossible, to say that there aren't workarounds or ways around that or ways to implement that for any genre of game moving forward, essentially what this is saying is it would just be so hard and so, what they say prohibitively expensive. I don't believe that to be the case, but basically it's so inconvenient to protect customers, and it would serve nothing for companies' bottom lines.
It'd be too expensive. We wouldn't be able to put skin packs and microtransactions in our games because it'd be too expensive. To take all that stuff out, we'd lose too much money. Do you realize how many hundreds of millions we spend? Dude, get the fuck out of here with that.
Because when they shut down a game, they just want to shut it down and not have it bleed more money. But again, doing the right thing isn't always convenient. You do it because it's simply the right thing to do.
Yep.
And when you sell a product to paying customers...
But money, YongYea, but money! What about all the money? We're leaving money on the table.
So we're giving you a piece of their livelihood. It is a responsibility to go out of your way to have some inconveniences happen in order for you to do the right thing by the customers who are paying you money. When you make developer choices, unless you're a charity, which developers are not, you are asking people to pay money. Your choices have to keep in consideration customer protections and the fact that you do on some level have some responsibility because you're taking money from customers. We don't live in a world where we can make any choice that we want. We live in a world where our choices have to be respectful of others, where we have to take others into consideration so we can
Unless there's lots and lots and lots of money involved.
be civilized, right? And so,
Nope.
yeah, this
But not if there's lots and lots and lots of money involved.
might make some developer choices a little more complex and a little more complicated and a little more inconvenient. But if it ultimately means protecting the customers and being responsible for the people who are paying you money for a product that should function a certain way and should be functional, you know, for as long as it can be functional and not involve the company making that decision for the customers, then those inconveniences, as much of a pain in the ass as they are something that developers have to take on because
Yeah, because your being convenienced is inconveniencing us. So you know what? We're just gonna not buy them. At least I'm not. You all can do whatever you want. But I'm not gonna buy a game that I'm not gonna be able to play 15 years down the line because they decided that, actually, we're not gonna let you play it anymore. That's fucking stupid. And if that's the case, yeah, I'm not gonna buy your game. I will figure out how to crack it, and I'll play it that way. And if I can't do that, then, well, I guess I'm just not playing it, because I'm not paying, in 15 years, it'll probably be like $200 for a fucking game.
it's simply the right thing to do. Inconvenience is no excuse to not do the right thing. And I think the reason why Pirate Software in particular has garnered so much backlash is, look,
Because Heartbound is not finished, and he doesn't want to be accountable for that?
he is a game developer, and I
No, he's
value
not.
game developers' perspective, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be a part of the conversation or that they're not allowed to raise concerns and issues, but how aggressively he's pursued the shutdown of Stop Killing Games or Stop Killing Games not going through, and what reasoning he's given.
And then also crashing out and attacking a bunch of people around him, like Coding Jesus. I don't get it. Yeah, Coding Jesus jabbed at him first, but he jabbed at the whole fucking internet. So, like, you know? And then he just will not stop calling people out. He just will not shut the fuck up.
You know, he kind of talks about it in his 2 videos that he made about Stop Killing Games, and I did watch them, by the way, and it basically comes down to, like,
Yeah, like, he didn't even just he made 2 videos that he posted to YouTube. That's not counting everything that he said on stream.
like there are complex issues when it comes to especially like server-side games. He also misconstrues functional playable state as like having to convert live service or multiplayer games into single player and rebalance everything to that end. No. All we're saying is that live service, it doesn't have to be rebalanced. You don't have to touch it. Just leave it functional. Just leave it accessible, even if it is imbalanced with just one player being able to access it privately. As long as it's functional and playable, it doesn't matter if it.
Yeah, and we can open it up to have private server, not even private servers, but to have private servers and open server browsing. And if you don't, then we'll do it for you. Just leave it open to us. You don't even gotta leave us the code. Just allow us the ability. It wouldn't be that hard to do just a search function for a game that's already rolling out constantly with patches, changing all the time. If it's a live service game, then they can code something new in it to make it functional. It's just all bullshit. It's really just, if we can't make money off it anymore, why should it exist? Because if this exists, people are going to be playing it. And if they're playing that, they're not playing our new game. That's really what it is.
It's balanced or not. He then argues, well, it's not game preservation because that's not how the game was meant to be played, but the product at least exists. That's the thing. We don't want the products to cease to exist just because it's, you know, not ideal to play the game in a state where the servers have been shut down and there isn't an influx of players. But
Yeah, and you never know what could be done with games like that. You never know. We might use an old game as like a podcasting space. Instead of being all sitting around a table, we'll all just sit around in a I don't know, I'll say Halo 2, for example. We'll sit in a, like, Halo 2 lobby for a podcast. You know? That would be great. Or, like, be all standing around in classic WoW. And you just make that a podcast. Or something like that. I'm just using that as an example of something that can be done with these old games. Fun things that you wouldn't even be able to think of or imagine until they happen.
Big argument that Pirate Software makes is that, won't you think about the developers and the fact that this would
Fuck the developers.
like strip away some of their choices and freedoms in terms of being able to make certain types of games.
Like, I don't play games for the developers. I play games for the games. And certain developers, I'll play their games because they are known to make bangers. But I'm not going to play their game if it's bad. Just because, like, let's use From Software as an example. If they make a bad game, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it.
And right here in this FAQ that he posted, on this Stop Killing Games video, where he answers some questions, he talks about essentially how it wouldn't be convenient for developers, how it can be a bit of a pain in the ass for developers, and how this, on a technical level, there's more here than people are considering when it comes to something like Stop Killing Games Pass.
Yeah, too bad.
I'm not saying that those possible technical complexities aren't worth discussing. I'm not saying developers shouldn't be a part of the conversation. What I'm saying is that the idea of we gotta stop killing games altogether because developers would be impacted by this when developers are taking money from players, from paying customers, and for some reason, the developers' choices are being prioritized instead of protections for the customers. If developers' choices involve screwing over customers, then those choices just shouldn't be made, or they should be adjusted. But it's this black and white mentality of stop killing games, should be killed. He's so absolutist about having to stop killing games because...
And he's lying and manipulating everybody in his audience. Because he completely misconstrued what the whole thing was about. It was saying things that were in it that wasn't, or weren't. They weren't in it, the things that he was saying. Absolute garbage. Lying piece of shit. Because his game is a failed game and it's incomplete and he's never going to finish it. And he doesn't want to be held liable for that. He doesn't want to take accountability for it.
Because it's inconvenient for developers. Well, having games nuked from...
It's just inconvenient for him.
Players' libraries is inconvenient for consumers, and them paying money for a product that will disappear one...
Well, fuck the consumer. They already paid. What does it matter? They're not going to pay us again to leave it up. Play our new game. Buy it. That's exactly their mindset.
That is only normalized in gaming and in digital media. That's not the case for when you buy products that are in physical form. And I don't think there should be a distinction between how products are handled physically or digitally, because they're both products no matter what. And so the same protections that people have when it comes to their physical products, where somebody can't just come in and just take their, IKEA table, or take their IKEA table and destroy it because IKEA wants to nuke all of the tables that are of that brand because they stopped supporting or whatever. Just in the same way of that would be absurd. Digital products should be treated exactly the same way. It seems less absurd because the physical actions aren't involved. But in my opinion, it's just as absurd. It's ridiculous that is a notion we're trying to normalize, and that there's a lack of consideration for how bad that is, and that the excuse for why we shouldn't resolve this is because it's too inconvenient. The whole it just involves more effort on the part of the product makers. That's the excuse for not protecting customers. That's your responsibility as...
Yeah, and they made it too inconvenient for themselves. They put themselves in this position. That's not our fault. They designed their games like this. They designed all these systems like this to make it inconvenient to not destroy them. It makes it inconvenient to sunset them. And I don't give a fuck.
Product makers. The ability for customers to retain the product that they bought, that's just a basic consumer right. We're not arguing for anything insane here. That's not an unreasonable take. Consumers buying products.
What are you talking about, YongYea? It is insane that we're gonna lose money. We won't be able to make these $500 million games anymore, and then take them away from you. The games that you paid $100 for. Or more. In Destiny 2's case, every expansion is full price.
Having to result in consumers keeping product is not some crazy argument. That is not a morally gray area. That's just black and white, if you ask me. Companies want to look away from that because it's just inconvenient. It doesn't serve their bottom line. It's additional effort, additional money. But you're in the business of making products for paying customers. That is what you got to do. That is your responsibility.
And it's also the responsibility of the players to stop fucking buying them. Stop buying these games.
And there's no excuse, especially when that excuse is it's too inconvenient, that kind of makes this okay. The idea that games can just not only be not preserved for the sake of games history and gaming as an art form, but as, a product, it should not just be able to be nuked by the whims of the companies. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on games preservation.
I think the whole fucking thing is bullshit. I don't think it's gonna work, honestly. I don't think we're going hard enough. I think there aren't enough influencers talking about this, pushing for this, pushing hard enough. I don't think people are getting mad enough about it. I think too many people are still buying the games. Just look at the sales for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that game was fucking garbage. Like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for all the notifications. Check out my gaming channel down there in the description.